we're checking out another amazing artist that is going to be showcasing their artwork at For the Love of Art Fair. I have Kamika with me. Your artwork is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
How long have you been painting? I mean, this is obviously, you are trained, you know what you're doing, and I mean, you've probably been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, a long time is what I would call it. Since I was a child, actually. Yeah, I just found art to be my thing. I wanted to do it in college, and I found out that, that may not be the best money-making route. So my advisor told me to not pursue art, but try something else. And so I just painted in the moonlight, basically, and that's what I've been doing for the last, 30 plus years.
And now you're showing him.
Right?
Look at this. Yeah. Look what you did. But let's talk about some of the influences that have influenced you over the years to create your artwork.
I get influence from everything and everywhere, nature specifically, but honestly, my love is simple shapes. They're really complicated to paint. I don't use tape usually. I just try to get like a circle and a shape, just to look like what it is.
So you're really not using like a tool or a circumference or anything like that?
I try not to, no. Okay. I might start with that, but when you're actually painting, it's your steady hands.
Yeah,
but
where the brush stroke lands.
Right. Then I ended up with portraits, and someone had asked for one, and I was like, I've never really done portraits, but, I'll give it a shot. And when I broke the face down, I realized, they're simple shapes. It's circle and ovals and squares and, so I ended up enjoying really doing portraits as well.
Talk to us about this piece itself. This is one of your newer pieces?
Yes,
will this be at For the Love of Art Fair?
It will be, yes.
Okay, so if you want to capture this one.
Yes. This piece was an interesting challenge. I recently went through a lot of loss last year.
I'm sorry.
The person who was part of my creative blossoming, as you could say, he influenced a lot of my art. He passed away, and I was thinking that I would probably just not paint anymore. There's no one to make proud. But when I wrestled with it, and Shireen, she did a lot of encouragement, and I have to shout out her out for that. She encouraged me to continue, and I just decided to pour a lot of my emotions into art. So I usually try to challenge myself, but this time it was with color and actual shapes. So breaking things down back to their basics. I think with this piece I accomplished that the most. I love that it's just simple lines and squares and rectangles. And of course it just comes together in this beautiful piece with dimension. So I spent a lot of time with this one, more so than the others. But yeah, this piece is probably my biggest accomplishment because I feel like I completed something that I wanted to give up on just because emotionally I felt like I wasn't there.
Well, I'm proud of you.
No, thank you.
I'm sure lots of us are proud of you.
Well, I hope so.
This is beautiful, beautiful. And it's so bright and so colorful. And I think all of your artwork speaks to someone, right?
Yeah, that's the hope.
So let's talk about, I know that you have another piece down here that's kind of hiding. Is this a finished piece?
Not quite, no.
Not quite. Okay, this one's in process.
Yes.
Okay. But I can see what you're talking about with the different shapes. You know, it's very bold in doing so.
Yeah. It seems simple. Simplicity is the most complex thing to accomplish. And to do it right without it feeling overly complicated or overly simple is one of my greatest challenges as an artist. But, I try to make objects that you can recognize using objects that you can recognize. And the play on that is very interesting. It does drive me a little crazy. And so I tend to be a little OCD and maybe a bit too much of a perfectionist, but yeah.
And I was checking out one of your particular series, the Balance series.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? Because that was really cool concept on how, you're building those shapes. And I think it's very interesting now that you're saying, I didn't measure anything. You just balance it.
Yeah, it has to feel right in my gut. The Balance series specifically, I wanted all the shapes to look like they were balancing on top of each other, almost like a 2D sculpture. And that was the year I lost my father. So I had created a whole series around just, can you get something to still fit and not bother you even though you want it to? It's bothering you. So I tend to do a lot of introspection with my art. It's mostly self-exploration, and I find it resonates with other people. That's a bonus.
It does. It does. And you use a lot of colors too. I'm looking at some of your samples over here too. And everything is very bright.
Well, this series specifically, I went bright on purpose.
Okay, that's intentional. Can I move this out of the way so we can see that one too?
You sure can.
Look at that. I love that.
I wanted to experiment with range. And I find that in order to do that, you really have to go all the way in. So obviously this is orange and red. This is greens. This one is the kind of the hodgepodge of everything, and this one was blues. So
beautiful.
I did a lot of experimenting with mixing colors. I generally would stay within a certain color palette because it's easy. But with
that's my biggest problem. Like when I try to paint something and then I
Yeah.
run out of the color that I
Yeah,
mixed
yeah,
together,
yep.
you're like, what do I do now?
Exactly.
Right?
And so I ran out several times, but I had to mix and mix and mix to still get the colors that I wanted. So that was my challenge with these, and they are bright. But for the most part, this was what I wanted to accomplish. Like, can I get purples in the reds, and can I get yellows in the orange? It's make it actually look like that.
Can I ask you, a piece like this, like how long does this process take from beginning to end? Like the thought process and creation?
Especially with children, right?
Right.
It takes a while. I break my process down into phases. So I'll start with the background. If I can just get the background done 1 week, I will do that. Then the next week, I will start on the sketch. So if I can get the sketch done, then I will move on. Then the next week, I'll lay like the gold pieces, which is kind of a process because I never really know what it's going to end up looking like. It's just kind of an abstract
Which is the
thing.
beauty of art.
Yeah. And then finally, I'll block color and then layer color. So the layering takes a good 3.5 weeks because it's acrylics. So they dry really flat. They're not very bright. And so I'll start with a base, then another coat, another coat, another coat.
So you get what you want. I love it. Do you have maybe your proudest moment as an artist that you want to share?
I think I'm hard on myself. And so recently in 2025, with all of the stuff that's been going on, I think what I decided to do was map my emotions out. And it sounds crazy, but I'll hard stop when I think I'm overthinking or going too far. And I think that was my proudest moment as an artist. I feel like that's where I matured the most.
I love that.
I grew up and said, enough's enough. You're doing great. Just stop.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing us some of your artwork. You'll have pieces available at For the Love of Art Fair.
And prints, fine art prints.
Oh, wonderful too.
Limited edition.
Limited edition. All right. Don't forget to stop by her booth. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ooh, one thing I would like to mention. I will be having a 20% off sale on the first day only.
Oh, perfect. So you got to get there that first day.
You got to get there that first day.
All right. All right. We'll do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.